Exclusive contracted novel by Feilu Novel Network. Siheyuan. 50 years of mountain driving, treasure digging, and greedy beast death. Upon waking up, Qingshan realized that he had traveled to the Beast Courtyard and had also become a mountain driver. Also awakened the mountain runner system. Ding! Today, we are rushing to the mountains to harvest a nest of Lingzhi crabs and acquire aircraft carrier manufacturing technology. Ding! Today, we are rushing to the mountains to harvest millennium-old ginseng and acquire hybrid rice technology. Ding! Today, we are rushing to the mountains to harvest millennium-old Ganoderma lucidum and acquire lithography machine technology. Ding! Today, rush to the mountains, harvest Poria cocos, and obtain Microsoft technology. In the 1950s, despite food shortages, Qingshan relied on a mountain driving system to gradually reach the pinnacle of his life. Feilu Novel Network reminds you that this novel and its characters are purely fictional. If there are any similarities, they are purely coincidental and should not be imitated. Chapter 1. Inheriting a little sister, I have a mountain driving system. You are listening at life.Feilu. 4 or 9 cities. Red Star Courtyard, 5 to 5 years, winter. The north wind howls and snowflakes drift. Qingshan woke up from a hangover with a headache. Before he could open his eyes, a burst of crying came from his ear, which sounded like a little girl. What is the situation? Why is there a little girl crying next to me? Qingshan is shrouded in mist. Last night was his celebration banquet, celebrating his appointment as the head of the group's Asia region. With a basic annual salary of tens of millions in performance dividends, he has served as the head of the group's Asia region, and his annual income has never been lower than a small target. At the celebration banquet, old Lu always joined forces with others to drink his wine. I know now, it must be Lao Lu doing a good job. He is not as capable as me. If the competition fails, he wants to retaliate against me. Is this giving me a fairy dance? Does it mean that as soon as I open my eyes, the patrol officer will rush in to catch someone? Qingshan became vigilant. He remained calm and quietly opened his eyes, wanting to see the situation before deciding how to respond. Just as I opened my eyes, Qingshan was blinded. What is this place? This is definitely not his $1,000,000 mansion. The room is quite spacious. Is this a rough room? The walls are all in the original color of mortar, without paint or scraping white ash, and the indoor furniture is pitifully scarce and tattered. It's so cold. Just a few glances, Qingshan couldn't bear it anymore. The bed he slept on was not a luxurious king-size bed that he had customized for 1,000,000 yuan. It's a hard-board bed. Covered with a hard and thin quilt. The cold wind blowing through the crack in the door can directly penetrate the baby, can it not be cold? Bedside. A little girl was lying on her stomach, wearing a gray top with dozens of patches, big and small. The clothes had already faded from washing. Just as Qingshan was about to speak, his mind pricked with pain, and an additional memory emerged that did not belong to him. Did I catch up with the crossing army? If you haven't traveled to the world of immortality, you can't live forever. If you haven't traveled to the world of high martial arts, you can't blow the planet with one punch. Isn't this journey too unreliable? Qingshan roast in his heart. He traveled back to an era when he had just entered a new society and was short of food and clothing. Red Star Courtyard, Yizhonghai, deaf old lady, silly pillar, isn't this the famous Birdman Courtyard? My name is Qingshan, and my predecessor was also known as Qingshan. My family was isolated, and my parents passed away, leaving only one sister and my predecessor to rely on each other. The memories that come to Qingshan's mind are the memories of his predecessor. The predecessor was too weak. Qingshan smelled a pungent medicinal smell. Understand why I have traveled here. He himself is a group executive in a prosperous era, busy with various social activities every day, and his body has long been overdrawn. At the celebration banquet, drinking too much alcohol resulted in alcohol poisoning. People are gone. Qingshan in the world of quadrangle houses, after his parents passed away, lived alone with his younger sister. Life was too difficult and he suffered a psychological breakdown. He just bought a bottle of pesticide and ended himself. In the prosperous era, Qingshan's soul pierced through, replacing Qingshan's Red Star Courtyard. In the quadrangle TV drama, there is no person named Qingshan, nor is there his sister Siheyuan. Very normal. There are too many animals in the courtyard. Qingshan has died, and his sister Siheyuan is still a child. How could she survive in a courtyard full of animals? The optimistic outcome is being sent to an orphanage, the pessimistic outcome is being abused to death by beasts, the latter being more likely. Qingshan analyzed the current situation. He has crossed over and most likely won't be able to return. My predecessor, you were just too cowardly to support a family, I look down on you. People like you, die early and be liberated early. Don't worry, I have replaced you and will take good care of your sister, taking care of her to grow up. The beasts in the courtyard, you can rest assured that I'm here, and their good days will come to an end, completely over. In the future, Siheyuan will be the era of Qingshan. Qingshan quickly adapted. Xiaoyun, pour me some water. Qingshan straightened his mind and woke up. Brother. Woo, brother, you're okay, that's great. I thought you didn't want me anymore, just like your parents do, woo. The little girl Xiaoyun pounced on Qingshan and cried loudly. Sigh. Qingshan sighed. He cursed his predecessor in his heart, what a coward. He freed himself with a bottle of pesticide and left his own sister alone in a courtyard full of animals. Isn't this a disguised indirect killing? My predecessor, I once again despise you. Qingshan held Xiaoyun in his arms, with a small and thin body that could even touch bones through his clothes, indicating how difficult life was. I also have a younger sister, I will definitely treat her well. Qingshan lived in a prosperous era, but he was an orphan. No father, no mother. No brothers and sisters. I am particularly eager for family affection, but I cannot obtain it. Time traveled. I have a younger sister. Qingshan feels very happy. Gollum. Xiaoyun is hungry. Qingshan suddenly remembered that his family was out of food. The courtyard is filled with birds and beasts, and no one is willing to lend a helping hand. Yizonghai has the highest income and does not borrow food or money. The beasts in the courtyard have long been eyeing their house. As long as their siblings starve to death, the house will be divided up by the beasts. Alas, there isn't a good person in the courtyard. The deaf old lady with a kind face and eyes is also a hungry wolf dressed in sheepskin. Her family has the most grain, and when her predecessor Qingshan went to borrow grain, she accidentally saw it with her own eyes. My predecessor promised the old lady to borrow 5 pounds of stick noodles and return 10 pounds within a month, but the deaf old lady insisted, no, Qingshan is thinking about how to break the game. The top priority is food. The family is out of food, we must get food immediately. Otherwise, he will become the first traveler to starve to death. Brother, are you hungry? Xiaoyun's little face is a bit red. My stomach is screaming. It's a bit awkward. But she can't control it herself. Xiaoyun, don't worry, with my brother around, I won't let you go hungry again. Qingshan solemnly promises. Others have traveled, either with golden fingers, or with systems, or with extraordinary identities. I've traveled, why isn't there anything? Gold finger. System. Have you arrived yet? Squeak when you come. Qingshan called in his heart that golden fingers or systems are the standard equipment for travelers. He couldn't have them, could he? Squeak, the mountain driving system has sensed the host's call. Is the host bound? This system has no autonomous consciousness or ability to think independently. Everything is centered around the host themselves, wholeheartedly assisting the host in enjoying life. The system is in place. Qingshan smiled. Beasts, I'm here with the system. Are you ready to be abused? Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 2. Performing magic for my sister to make food tasty. You are listening at life.Feilu. Qingshan is bound to the mountain driving system. Successfully bound the mountain driving system. Congratulations to the host, you have obtained one personal space. You have obtained the cultivation method and health preservation formula. You have obtained 10 health pills. Congratulations to the host for obtaining the complete knowledge of mountain driving. Congratulations to the host, we have received a large gift package of daily necessities, which includes 10 pounds of pork, 10 pounds of lamb, 10 pounds of beef, 10 chickens, 10 pounds of eggs, 10 pounds of rice, 10 pounds of millet, 10 pounds of quinoa rice, 10 pounds of cabbage, 10 pounds of cucumber, 10 pounds of tomato, 10 pounds of apple, 10 pounds of grape. Qingshan has just bound the system, and the reward has arrived. All physical rewards will be sent to his personal space and will be permanently saved without deterioration. The food problem has been solved. With so many daily necessities, my sister and I won't go hungry within a month. Qingshan breathed a sigh of relief. Don't go out hungry to get some food. At the same time, he also understood the role of the mountain driving system. Relying on the mountains to eat the mountains. Driving mountains means eating mountains. Mountain driving includes hunting, gathering, and so on. As long as it can be obtained from the mountains, no matter how it is obtained, it is all within the range of mountain driving. The complete knowledge of mountain driving includes all knowledge of mountain driving. Hunting knowledge. Fishing knowledge. Collect knowledge. Knowledge of medicinal herbs. There is a long list that includes everything that can be thought of, done in the mountains. There is a mountain driving system. In the mountains, I am a god. No job. Work is nothing. As long as I show a little bit of hunting ability, large units such as steel mills and machine repair shops will compete to give me work for free. I don't need to go to work, as long as I send the prey I catch every month. Not only do I have a salary, but I also have money to sell the prey. Having memories of his predecessor, Qingshan is too aware of the current environment. Material shortage. Meat is even more scarce. Most families can only eat meat once a month. Every time I buy 2 or 3 tails, it's 2 or 3 tails of meat, not 2 or 3 pounds of meat. Whoever can provide meat, all units will offer it up. 5 years have passed, and in 5 more years, a 3-year famine will come. I must prepare in advance and store enough daily necessities in my personal space to ensure that my sister and I don't go hungry during the famine. Qingshan made up his mind. There is a mountain driving system, which is easy to achieve. Go hunting in the mountains, bring it back, and exchange meat for food. Cough cough. Qingshan coughed for a moment. My predecessor was drunk to death, and there were still some pesticides left in my body, causing continuous damage and adding insult to injury to my already weak body. Persist in a health pill. Qingshan's mind moved and a health pill appeared directly in his stomach. Moment the warm heat surged throughout the body, causing various discomforts and being swept away by the warm current. Some of the hidden injuries and illnesses of the predecessor were completely cured. Restore your health. The health-preserving formula imprinted in his mind also began to operate with his thoughts. I can clearly feel that my body is becoming more and more powerful. The health tips are too strong. The system is really awesome. After obtaining the system, Qingshan tried everything he could and immersed himself in his own world, ignoring the feelings of the outside world. Woo 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 woo. The crying woke Qingshan up. Brother, why are you ignoring me? Are you going to leave like your parents, and you don't want me anymore? Siheyuan's thin and weak little hand grabbed Qingshan's big hand, trembling incessantly, with cold tears dripping onto the back of his hand. Siheyuan, don't cry. Brother will never leave you behind. Brother was just thinking about something and didn't hear you speak. Qingshan touched his sister's head. Her withered yellow hair, with some forks, immediately indicates severe malnutrition. My predecessor was just an ordinary boy. With the encouragement and oppression of the beasts, it was not easy to survive with my sister. Even if we do our best, we can only sustain the two of them from starving to death. Brother, look. Siheyuan took out a dark object from his pocket. Qingshan looked carefully for a while before recognizing it as a dried dough. Brother, you eat. Siheyuan handed the steamed bun to Qingshan. Qingshan was taken aback for a moment, his eyes slightly turning red. The Su family is out of food. This small piece of steamed bun, even though it looks dark, is the last bit of food that the Su family can eat, the only bite of food. Siheyuan kept screaming when she was hungry, but she gave her only food to her brother. Can Qingshan not be moved? Siheyuan, brother can do magic, do you believe it? Qingshan found a good excuse to take out the food in the space. Magic. Did we see it on the overpass last month? Siheyuan blinked her big eyes. Last month, the siblings passed by the overpass and saw some people performing on the street. There is an artist who uses a handkerchief to transform into a pigeon with empty hands. Siheyuan is very envious. She said that as long as she can perform this magic, she can transform pigeons and eat them every day. Yes, brother has learned, do you believe it? Qingshan nodded. I believe in my brother. Okay, close your eyes, brother asks you to open your eyes, then open them again. Okay. Siheyuan obediently closed her eyes. Qingshan waved casually. 2 apples, a chicken, a small bag of rice, 10 eggs, and 2 tomatoes appeared by the bedside. Take something out of your personal space with just one thought. The magic has changed, open your eyes. Reminder from Qingshan. Siheyuan opened his eyes, and then his eyes sparkled as he earned more and more. He stared intently at the apples and other food, swallowing a mouthful of saliva. Brother, am I dreaming? Siheyuan couldn't believe it. Happiness comes too suddenly. Brother can do magic. It can become delicious. Come on, take a bite and you'll know if you're dreaming. Qingshan handed Siheyuan an apple. The apple provided by the system is pure natural and pollution-free. After cleaning, you can eat it directly. Click. Siheyuan probed and took a small bite. The sweet juice flowed into Siheyuan's mouth, making her eyes wide open. The taste was so wonderful. Brother, this is the best thing I've ever eaten in my life. What is this? Siheyuan doesn't know apples. Not just her. Most of the children in the courtyard don't know apples. In an era of material scarcity, there is not enough food to grow. How many people have the heart to grow fruits? The fruit yield is very low. How old are you? Your life is still very long. Take your time eating the apples, brother will cook for you. Qingshan stood up and decided to cook a delicious meal for his sister. Brother, I'll go with you. Siheyuan tugged at Qingshan's clothes. She was scared just now. I'm afraid that Qingshan will also leave like her parents, leaving her alone. When I cook, the aroma spreads and the animals smell it. Will they come and cause trouble? Qingshan is eager to try. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 03. Gourmet food appetites beasts, deaf old lady appetites. You are listening at novel.Feilu. Qingshan entered the kitchen with ingredients. Siheyuan is at the entrance of the kitchen, eating apples and watching his brother Qingshan cook. Brother, are you going to make a whole chicken? Why don't we just cut a small piece of meat and let the rest air dry for the Chinese New Year? Siheyuan suggests. In an era of material scarcity, for ordinary people, eating a whole chicken in one meal is a bit too luxurious. Most families will cut the chicken into small pieces. When cooking, put a small piece of chicken in the pot to borrow the flavor. It tastes like chicken, not chicken. A chicken. Families with better living conditions should divide their meals into several portions. Families with poor conditions will be divided even more finely. A chicken can be divided into dozens of times to eat, and there will still be half left. Xiaoyun, did you forget? Brother can do magic. Starting from today, our family is not short of food. Don't worry and eat meat boldly. Today, let's eat a whole chicken. Qingshan is very sorry for Siheyuan. My predecessor did too poorly, starving my younger sister to the point where her hair turned yellow and split. He wants to make it up for his sister. Siheyuan's eyes lit up. If he could eat a whole chicken, who would be willing to put only a small piece of chicken in each meal to borrow the flavor? Soon. The chicken is cooked. The strong aroma of chicken seeps out through the cracks in the windows and doors, first spreading in the backyard and gradually spreading throughout the entire courtyard. Qingshan took a small bowl and scooped out all the chicken. Xiaoyun, let's eat. The chicken was served to the table, and Xiaoyun hesitated to move her chopsticks. Brother, am I dreaming? If I'm really dreaming, I hope I wake up later and wake up after I finish eating. Xiaoyun couldn't believe that she could set up a whole chicken for a meal. Yi Zhonghai, the best and highest paying master in the courtyard, has never been so arrogant, has he? Hurry up and eat. Qingshan smiled. Brother, you eat. Xiaoyun is very sensible and gave Qingshan a large piece of meat. Same backyard. Lu Haizhong's family is also preparing to eat. Fragrant, so fragrant. Who eats chicken at home? It's not like putting a small piece of meat in a pot, at least half a chicken, to have such a strong meat aroma. With a big belly in the bangs, in the middle of winter, open a crack in the window to let in the cold air, just to smell more meat. I don't know, it seems like it's our backyard, isn't it, the old lady's house? Second aunt also approached the window and took a deep breath of the chicken aroma. The deaf old lady's home that the two of them mentioned. The deaf old lady is also ready to have dinner. She has a steamed bread with 2 noodles, a bowl of congee with stick noodles, and a dish of pickled vegetables. Is it chicken? Who eats chicken at home? Why don't you bring me a bowl? Not filial, too unfilial, I don't know how to respect the elderly, I'm just a beast. The deaf old lady put down the mantou with noodles. Where does mantou smell like meat? She walked to the window and guessed, whose family is eating meat. Can you share a bowl? Intermediate court. Jia family. The Jia family of 5 are also cooking. 5 to 5 years. Qinhuairu has just married into the Jia family for 3 years. Bongang Bangzi is still a child who can't walk steadily. Lao Jia hasn't died yet, and Xiao Dang and Xiao Huaihua haven't had the chance to become fertilized eggs yet. The Jia family consists of 5 members, including Lao Jia, Jia Zhang, Jia Dongxiu, Bongang, and Qinhuairu. The fragrance comes. But during the Chinese New Year, it's not a festival. Who's so arrogant about eating meat? Jia Dongxiu's father, Lao Jia, and Jia Ren put down their chopsticks and took a sip of the meat, fragrance intoxicated. Jia Dongshu and Qin Huiru swallowed a mouthful of water. Gudong. The sound of Jia Zhang swallowing saliva is very loud. The fragrance comes from behind, definitely not from the Lu Haizhong family or the deaf old lady's family. Can it be that little beast Su Qingshan? Jia Zhang is the most greedy and has the most sensitive nose. Before leaving the room, she locked in, and the fragrance must have come from behind. Impossible, Su Qingshan's family is out of food and can't even afford to eat stick noodles. Where's the money to buy meat? Jia Dongshu shook his head. You're right. If both the Su family starve to death, their house will be empty. Can we move in? Jia Zhang's eyes lit up. The Jia family's house is small. After Jia Dongshu got married, the elderly couple lived in the inner room and the younger couple lived in the outer room. At night. If you want to do something, you must be quiet and gentle, otherwise the young couple will be heard by the old couple, and the old couple will also be heard by the young couple. If the Su siblings die, there will be an empty room. Don't dream anymore. There are too many people staring at the Su family's house, how can it be our turn? Jia Ren sighed. After the death of the Su siblings, the fight for the Su family's house must have been a fierce battle, with conspiracies and schemes all playing out. It's not the Su family, whose family eats meat. You smell it, the meat aroma is too strong. At least half a chicken, maybe a whole one. If only you could bring us a bowl of meat. Jia Zhang swallowed 2 more mouthfuls of water. She felt that if she didn't eat quickly, in a little while, her saliva would fill her stomach. Don't think about good things. The vast majority of households only eat meat once or twice a month. Who would be willing to give the meat to someone else's house to eat? Jia Ren also wants to eat meat. He is very clear that everyone's life is not easy. Most families find it difficult to have enough to eat, and can only let the main labor force have enough to eat. Eating meat is just an extravagant expectation. It's rare to eat meat and have a meat meal. Who would be foolish enough to send it out? Qin Huiru nodded. She has been married to the Jia family for 3 years. Life in the countryside is not easy, and life in the city is also not easy. Most families cannot eat enough coarse grain. Su family. The chicken was half destroyed by the siblings. It's so delicious. The chicken is so delicious. Su Xiaoyun had a happy expression on his face. From childhood to adulthood, from memory onwards, it was the first time she had been so arrogant in eating meat. Eat big mouthfuls, only eat meat to fill your stomach. Before today, she dared not dream like this. If it's delicious, you can eat more. I can do magic, and in the future, I will make delicious food for you every day. Su Qingshan doted on his sister. Before crossing over, although he was a corporate executive who could achieve a small annual income target, he was an orphan and his affection for family was unattainable. Traveling through time, having a biological younger sister, feeling the affection of family, of course, we must dote on her well, we must dote on her to the heavens. Dong dong dong. Someone is knocking on the door. Su Qingshan was taken aback. Who will be over for dinner? Did the deaf old lady come to ask for meat to eat? Or did Jia Zhang, that unreasonable crazy woman, crave meat and eat it? Su Xiaoyun is also a bit nervous. It's okay, you keep eating, there's an older brother around. Who? Su Qingshan comforted his sister and then walked towards the door. Me. A man's voice came from outside the door. Su Qingshan was taken aback and recognized that it was Silly Zhu's voice. In the memory of my predecessor, I had a deep impression. 5 years old, the foolish pillar is still a young man of all ages, but with an aging face, often mistaken for a middle-aged person. Who is he helping to beg for meat? Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 04. Silly pillar splashing dirty water, beating down, birds and beasts watching. You are listening at life.Feilu. Brother, it's Silly Zhu here. Siheyuan also recognized that it was Silly Zhu knocking on the door and shouting. Her face changed and she clenched her chopsticks tightly. Little sister, don't be afraid. I promise you, from today on, no one will try to bully you. If Silly Pillar comes, I will beat him down. Qingshan sighed in his heart. Silly Zhu is the god of war in the courtyard, relying on his strong physique. In addition, his predecessor only had siblings, no father or mother, and he bullied them a lot. My predecessor was really cowardly. I'm here, so I won't let my younger sister be bullied again. The bullying and injustice I suffered before should also be properly accounted for with Silly Zhu. Qingshan stood up and headed straight to the door. Brother, I'll go with you. Siheyuan gathered his courage and followed Qingshan. Okay, let's clean up the silly pillar together. Qingshan nodded. With Siheyuan, open the door and prepare to clean up the silly pillar. I've been picking on the door for half a day, how did you open it? Did you do something bad? Silly Zhu is very dissatisfied. Uncle, can you step back? My mouth smells too bad, it's smoking me. Qingshan sneered and mocked. Uncle. My name is Uncle alone. Silly Pillar broke the defense on the spot. He looks anxious and is often ridiculed. In addition, people are tall and imposing, and when encountering strangers, they are often called big brothers by middle-aged and above people. Haha, Qingshan, that's great. Silly Pillar, no, uncle, how old are you? Dumao went out and happened to hear Qingshan calling him Uncle Silly Pillar. Smiling on the spot, they also followed suit and called Uncle. Sun Tzu, please shut up for me. Do you believe I'll blow out your teeth? Silly Zhu was so angry that his face turned red and his neck was thick. Dumao trembled. Silly Zhu was known for his violent temper, and he would take action if he didn't agree. He was often beaten and didn't dare to speak for a while. Siheyuan was a bit scared and hid behind Qingshan. Qingshan grabbed the little sister's hand and comforted her, staring coldly at Silly Zhu. Not far away. Qingshan saw Yi Zhonghai walking over. He should have gone to the deaf old lady's house and saw the silly pillar blocking Qingshan's door. He just smiled faintly and had no intention of asking any questions. He is very clear. In a courtyard, no one can beat a foolish pillar, unless they are beaten in a group, a foolish pillar will never suffer a loss. It's not yet time for him to appear. Silly Zhu finished fighting and damaged the other person. When the situation is going to escalate, he will only appear to protect Silly Zhu and suppress the people he hit. Qingshan, dare you call me uncle? You're in trouble. Let me see what you're eating. What a big pot of chicken, there must be a whole chicken. Say, who did you steal the chicken from? Silly Zhu directly labeled Qingshan as a thief. His name is Silly Zhu, he's not stupid at all. On the contrary, very smart. It's our chicken, not stolen. Siheyuan gathered his courage and came out from behind Qingshan, staring at the silly pillar. She cannot let her brother carry the reputation of being a thief. Despite being afraid, I am very strong. You can't even afford to eat, you're almost starving. How can you afford to buy chicken? The chicken must have been stolen. Silly Zhu sneered. The situation of Qingshan's family is known to everyone in the courtyard. Many people are waiting for the Su siblings to starve to death and divide up the Su family's house. Yi Zhonghai and others, who have the ability to provide relief, choose to watch coldly. Qingshan is a thief. The thief's sister, there is not a good person in your family. Silly Zhu deserves to be known for his bad breath. My brother is not a thief, and I am not the thief's sister either. Su Xiaoyun shed tears of grievance. Little sister, don't cry. Brother is not a thief, and you are not the thief's sister either. Wait, I'll have silly Zhu kneel down and apologize for you. Su Qingshan is raging with anger. Silly Zhu, I command you to apologize to my sister. Su Qingshan stared coldly at the silly pillar. Silly Zhu instinctively took 2 steps back. At this moment, Su Qingshan's eyes were sharp like knives, and his tone was cold, making him involuntarily shiver. Then blush. He used to bully Su Qingshan, how did he scare Su Qingshan today? Su Qingshan is different from before. The former Su Qingshan definitely didn't have this kind of momentum. What's going on? Why does it feel a bit different when it's still Su Qingshan? Silly Zhu was confused. Huh, silly pillar, are you afraid? Are you scared away? Su Dumao finally seized the opportunity, with a burst of sarcasm. At this point, there are many people watching the excitement. Follow Su Dumao with a burst of laughter. Silly Zhu had a fever on his face, becoming angry with embarrassment and staring at Su Qingshan. Surnamed Su, when I say you're a thief, you're a thief. You siblings are all thieves. Silly Zhu just took 2 steps back and lost face. He wants to regain his face. Shut up. Silly pillar, kneel down, kowtow, apologize to my sister, say you're wrong, I can forgive you once. Su Qingshan let out a cold drink. Silly Zhu trembled again and was forcefully interrupted halfway through his words. Watching the lively Yi Zhonghai not far away, his eyebrows furrowed slightly, and he could also see that today's Su Qingshan was different from before. People are still the same person. But my personality has become extremely strong. This is not a good thing. The courtyard he ruled over, as long as the obedient people, don't be stingy. Kneel down. Kowtow. That's a good idea, Su Qingshan. Kneel down and kowtow to me, or else I'll break your dog leg. Silly Zhu raised his fist and threatened Su Qingshan. Su Xiaoyun's face turned white. It's you who should kneel and kowtow. Talking too much is useless. Su Qingshan is ready to take action. His predecessor was too cowardly, and everyone in the courtyard thought he was weak and deceitful. Just right, hit the silly pillar, use the silly pillar to stand up. Let the people in the courtyard know that he has stood up. Awakened. No longer the precursor of weakness that anyone can bully. In the future. Only he bullies others, no one else can bully him. Are you not kneeling? Then I'll beat you to kneel. Silly pillar takes the lead in taking action. Kick up with your right foot. His ultimate move against Su Dumao is to tease his own legs. As long as it's a man, as long as he gets hit, no matter how strong the man is, he will immediately lose his resistance. Su Dumao instinctively clamped his legs and had already formed a conditioned reflex. He gave Su Qingshan a pitiful glance. Bang! Su Qingshan's counterattack was faster, starting later and hitting first. As soon as the foolish pillar's foot was lifted up, Su Qingshan kicked him in the stomach and kicked him down on the spot. Silly pillar lying on the ground, blindfolded. He was knocked down. When did Su Qingshan become so powerful? Silly Zhu doesn't believe it at all. Yi Zhonghai widened his eyes, looked at Silly Zhu, then at Su Qingshan, rubbed his eyes, and looked again. He suspected that he was looking at Hua Yan. Shouldn't lying on the ground be Su Qingshan? How did Silly Zhu lie down? The bangs were filled with surprise, followed by a bright smile. Silly Zhu has never respected him as the second uncle, often contradicting him and even hitting Lu Guangqi. Silly Zhu was beaten, Lu Haizhong was very happy. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 05. Angry fan deaf old lady, shooting all animals. You are listening at novel.Feilu. Siheyuan war god silly pillar, whose invincible record in Siheyuan was ended, was beaten to the ground, making the onlookers incredulous. You despicable, you sneak attack, I am not convinced. Silly Zhu struggled to get up and found himself an excuse. Whether or not they were beaten down from the front. They must all be ambushed. You can't lose face. Ha, a surprise attack. Come on, don't say I didn't give you a chance. Qingshan disdainfully hooked his fingers at silly pillar. Not far away. Zhonghai's eyebrows furrowed slightly. Is it because silly Zhu was careless, or is Qingshan better at fighting than silly Zhu? He ruled the courtyard and needed a qualified thug. Without silly pillars, many things are difficult to handle. Zhonghai, why is it so noisy outside? The deaf old lady pushed open the door and walked out trembling. At first glance, I thought she was about to enter the coffin. Silly pillar is fighting again. Zhonghai writes lightly. The deaf old lady nodded slightly, not taking it to heart. Silly Zhu is the god of war in the courtyard, and only silly Zhu has ever hit others. No one can hit silly Zhu. This matter. Silly pillar spewed fire in both eyes. The gesture of Qingshan hooking his fingers is really insulting. Next, Qingshan carried his hands behind his back. Silly pillar, if I hit you, I don't even need to use my hands. Come on. Come and be amazed. Qingshan decided to stand firm in his power. Surnamed Su, you're looking for death. When has silly Zhu been so underestimated? Fist and rush straight toward Qingshan. Qingshan raised his leg and kicked out. The move was exactly the same as before. Silly column was also kicked to the ground. You. Silly pillar lay on the ground, staring at Qingshan. He can no longer use surprise attacks as an excuse, everyone can see clearly. He is well prepared. Qingshan didn't even use his hands. Huh, silly pillar, you also have today. Come on, get up and continue fighting, don't pretend to be dead. Su Damao laughed heartily. He ran to silly Zhu's side, carefully extending his right foot and poking him in the leg with his toe. Silly pillar didn't react. I poked hard again. Silly Zhu just gave him an angry glare. Brother, you're really amazing. I won't be afraid of fools in the future. Siheyuan widened her eyes in surprise. Looking at the silly pillar lying on the ground sweating cold, and then at the calm brother, she smiled happily and no longer had to be afraid of the silly pillar. Qingshan walked over and picked up silly Zhu's hair, pulling him up. Bring it to Siheyuan. Kicking silly Zhu's leg from behind, silly Zhu knelt down on the spot. Silly pillar, am I kowtowing to you or are you kowtowing yourself? Qingshan's cold geological question. Qingshan, won't you let go of the silly pillar yet? The deaf old lady saw that silly pillar was at a loss and didn't have the mood to watch the excitement anymore. She ran all the way to Qingshan and gave orders with a deer antler-covered face. It's just a command. Not for negotiation. It seems that you don't want to kowtow, I'll help you. Qingshan pressed down on silly Zhu's head with force. Bang! Silly Zhu let out a scream. Blood on the forehead. This one's head is really knocking. Little beast, dare you not listen to me? The deaf old lady saw the bleeding on silly pillar's forehead and was furious on the spot. She swung her crutch and went straight to Qingshan's head, pounding it hard. You're not allowed to hit my brother. Siheyuan's thin body stood in front of Qingshan. The deaf old lady saw it and had no intention of retracting her cane. She continued to smash it down with a fierce expression and a fierce gleam in her eyes. Humph. Qingshan lifted the silly pillar and used it as a shield. Bang. The cane of the deaf old lady hit the forehead of the foolish pillar accurately without deviation or inclination, hitting the bleeding wound just now. Ow! Silly pillar screamed mournfully. The deaf old lady trembled with fear and her cane fell to the ground. Silly pillar, do you hurt? I'm Qingshan, a little beast, I didn't want to hit you. Little beast, how could you be so cruel? How can we use a silly pillar as a shield? The deaf old lady cursed Qingshan loudly. Pop. Qingshan is not used to her. Give it a slap. The deaf old lady is lying on the ground. The crowd, who had been discussing so much just now, suddenly fell silent and opened their mouths one by one. They couldn't believe that Qingshan dared to hit the deaf old lady. Is it too arrogant? Qingshan, you bastard, how could you hit the old lady? Zhonghai and a middle-aged woman ran over and helped the deaf old lady up. A blood-red palm print appeared on the left face of the deaf old lady. Qingshan, I command you to kneel down and apologize to the old lady, begging for her forgiveness. Zhonghai confirmed that the deaf old lady was okay and decided to punish Qingshan severely. Never let Qingshan become a thorn in the head. Influenced his rule over the quadrangle. Get lost. When silly Zhu wants to hit me, you watch the commotion on the side. When the deaf old lady hit me, you were also watching the excitement on the side. Who is right and who is wrong? You can see clearly, but you asked me to apologize to them. Lao Go, do you still have black and white in your eyes? Qingshan sneered and mocked. You. Being called an old dog in public, Zhonghai trembled with anger. Silly pillar, why are you lying on the ground? Who hit you? Qing walked over from the courtyard and saw the painful silly pillar on the ground, his face darkening on the spot. It was Qingshan who fought. Zhonghai has an upturned mouth. There's no need for him to take action. With Qing's temper, he will never let Qingshan go. Qingshan, why are you hitting the silly pillar? Qing angrily questioned. His mouth smells too bad. Qing, the problem of silly pillar's mouth stinking has been going on for a while. If you don't discipline yourself well, you won't just get beaten next time. I will definitely depose him. Facing Qing. Qingshan is not at all cowardly. Zhonghai smiled. Well done. That's a great fight. Qing, like silly Zhu, is both hot-tempered. If Qingshan doesn't give face to Qing in public, Qing will definitely take action. Qingshan, you're too arrogant. They all belong to the same hospital, how could you strike so hard? Do you want to kill stupid Zhu? Look at Qing's face turning pale with iron. Zhonghai decided to add more fire and fill Qing's anger level. Qingshan must be injured. Qingshan cannot go out to do odd jobs to earn money. The two siblings of the Su family will starve to death. If they want to starve, they can only sell their house at a low price. Grandpa, Qing, I just remembered that I have a gift for you, you guys wait. Qingshan suddenly smiled and turned back to the house. Zhonghai was stunned, what is the situation? Why did it suddenly change? Are you convinced? Qing is also a bit confused. Su Dumao and others are also confused. What's up with Qingshan? Soon. Watching the excitement, everyone widened their eyes and their hair stood up. How dare Qingshan? Qingshan returned to the door, holding a cold hunting gun in his hand. Aim the black barrel at Zhonghai. Zhonghai's legs are a bit soft, and his pants feel a bit wet. Qing hurriedly retreated. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 06. At the mouth of the gun, beasts recognize counseling, sister wants to read. You are listening at novel.Feilu. A normal person, facing a dark barrel, who doesn't have weak legs. Who doesn't sweat. No, Qingshan, put down your gun quickly. A small conflict between neighbors, but don't dare to use a gun. It's too dangerous, put it down quickly. Yi Zhonghai barely squeezed out a smile. The gun is aimed at him, not someone else. Can he not hesitate? Zhonghai, don't be afraid of him. He's just a coward. Even if he has a gun in his hand, does he dare to shoot? He fired and killed people, and he also wanted to eat peanuts. The deaf old lady sneered. Besides, there are so many of us. His old-fashioned hunting rifle only has 2 bullets. After firing it, it needs to be reloaded. Can so many people make him reload it? The deaf old lady began to agitate everyone. Everyone nodded. That makes sense. The old lady said so well. I only have 2 bullets in my gun and can only kill 2 people. Come, 2 heroes stand up and sacrifice for everyone. I have 2 bullets, and at most, I can only kill 2 people. Su Qingshan smiled. Move the muzzle and aim at the deaf old lady. I don't want to die. I can't die either. Whoever is willing to sacrifice, who is willing to sacrifice? I can't do it, I have seniors and subordinates. Su Qingshan's words frightened everyone. Su Qingshan can only kill 2 people, but the question is, will one of these 2 people fall on their heads? No one wants to die. Step back one by one, afraid of being selected by Su Qingshan and becoming the lucky ones. Deaf old lady, Yi Zhonghai, He Da-Qing, the 3 of you haven't moved. I get excited when the 3 of you move, maybe you'll pull the trigger. Su Qingshan's mouth slowly moved. It's like aiming at the deaf old lady, it's like aiming at Yi Zhonghai, or maybe it's He Da-Qing. The 3 of them are standing very close in the same direction. Su Qingshan, how can you put down your gun? Yi Zhonghai is hesitant. The deaf old lady dare not speak anymore. When the gun was not aimed at her, she was not afraid of anything. When the gun was aimed at her, she couldn't stand steady and hung it on a woman's arm. Let me apologize first. Starting from the deaf old lady, then Yi Zhonghai, and then He Da-Qing, there's no need for the silly curse. He just knocked his head over. Su Qingshan's gun aimed at the deaf old lady. He doesn't need to convince others with reason. I just want to subdue people with guns. At the gunpoint, who dares to disobey? Qingshan, I'm getting old and confused. Don't be too narrow-minded with me. I apologize to you. The deaf old lady's eyes were filled with hatred. If it weren't for facing the gun, she would never have apologized. Su Qingshan nodded with satisfaction. He had watched the entire quadrangle play and was too clear about the deaf old lady's character. She couldn't truly admit her mistake. The muzzle moved onto Yi Zhonghai's body. Qingshan, I made a mistake just now. It's all foolish Zhu's fault. I shouldn't have favored him. I apologize to you. Under the muzzle of the gun. Yi Zhonghai's buttocks dare not tilt any further. It's He Da-Qing's turn. Qingshan, don't worry, I will definitely teach you a good lesson from now on. He used to bully you a lot, so I apologize on behalf of him. Facing the muzzle. He Da-Qing can only admit his cowardice. No, I can't breathe. You 3, I want to randomly send one away. Let's see who's unlucky. Su Qingshan announced with a smile. Don't. I don't want to die. Leave me alone. The deaf old lady almost scared herself down. I just remembered to beg for mercy now. It's too late. Su Qingshan pulled the trigger. Pop. Screams kept rising one after another. The deaf old lady and 3 others all fell to the ground. Ha ha ha. Qingshan laughed heartily. I forgot to tell you, I didn't load any bullets, it seems like I'm also out of bullets. Qingshan was intentional. What? No bullets. Zhonghai is almost furious. The deaf old lady was trembling with anger. Qing's face turned pale with iron. Little sister, put the gun back. Qingshan handed the gun to Siheyuan. Qingshan, you're so poor that you can't even afford to eat steamed buns. Where did you get that chicken from? Zhang is also watching the lively crowd. She has been swallowing saliva. Just now, Qingshan had a gun. She was afraid and didn't dare to fart. Result. Qingshan only has guns but no bullets. What is the difference between him and a burning stick? Zhang is not afraid anymore. The idea of adding chicken. Is it none of your business? Our ancestors were all mountain runners, isn't it normal to have meat to eat? Qingshan declared that he was a mountain driver. He wants to go hunting in the mountains. Your father is a mountain driver, hasn't he been poor for a lifetime? Zhang did not believe it. Get lost, don't you just want to eat chicken? Go back and go to bed early. In my dream, there's everything. Qingshan drives people. Qing, hit silly Zhu. I know you hate me, but I warn you, if you dare to have another chance, I'll just break silly Zhu's dog leg. Qingshan warns Qing. Humph. Qing snorted coldly and drove the silly pillar away. The deaf old lady went home to change her pants at the husband's house of an elderly woman. Before leaving, she even gave Qingshan a malicious glare. She's not finished with Qingshan. Qingshan asked me to let go of such a big person, I absolutely can't let him go. Zhonghai is very unhappy. The crowd dispersed. On that day, the courtyard was discussing the changes in Qingshan. Qingshan and Siheyuan continued to eat. Brother, if you force them to apologize with a gun, they will definitely retaliate against you. Siheyuan is very worried about her brother. Little sister, let me ask you, even if I don't point a gun at them and give them all the chicken, will they treat us siblings well? Qingshan asked back. Siheyuan thought for a moment and shook her head. That's right. They are just a group of beasts, not knowing how to be grateful, and even bullying the weak and fearing the hard. We cannot have mercy towards them. As long as they dare to cause trouble, we must deal with them harshly. We must be ruthless when dealing with animals. If you hurt them and scared them, they wouldn't dare to cause trouble. Qingshan is too familiar with the human nature of beasts. Be kind to them, you will definitely suffer. He must teach his sister how to treat animals. After thinking for a while, Siheyuan nodded and agreed with Qingshan's view. Little sister, you've been taking care of me, I'm sure you're tired. After finishing, go rest. Qingshan's heart aches. Siheyuan. Adolescent shoulders bear too many life burdens that should not be borne. In the future, he will support the family. Let Siheyuan live a happy life. Next, we need to do two things. The first thing is to improve your life. The second thing is to arrange for Siheyuan to study. Qingshan plans his future life. He comes from the future and is very aware of the importance of reading. Mastering knowledge and skills is essential for finding a good job and living a good life. Living a good life requires money, and arranging for my sister's education also requires money. The only urgent task is to make money. Qingshan uses his brain, how can he make a lot of money as soon as possible? Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 07. Making bows and arrows, driving mountains, and mocking animals. You are listening at life.Feilu. The quickest way to make money. Got it. Nowadays, various supplies are scarce, especially food. I'm going to drive mountains, hunt, and gather. As long as I can make something to eat, I don't have to worry about selling it, and I can earn a lot of money in the shortest possible time. Qingshan came up with a way to make money. The next morning. After washing, Qingshan made a pot of braised pork belly. Brother, so much braised pork belly. Siheyuan swallowed a mouthful of water. From childhood to adulthood, I am afraid that all the meat I have eaten for so many years is not as much as a pot of braised pork belly in front of me. Too luxurious. Do you want to eat? Let's eat freely. Starting from today, our family is not short of meat. Qingshan guarantees. He keenly heard faint curses coming from the courtyard. It must be the beast smelling the fragrance. I'm craving meat. Brother, even if we don't eat and only eat meat, we can't eat so much, can we? Siheyuan is biting a piece of braised pork belly. Squeeze your eyes happily. It's so delicious. Little sister, you can have the leftover for lunch in the morning. Wait a moment, I'm going out to drive the mountains. I won't be able to come back and cook for you. Qingshan intentionally went long. He doesn't want his sister to go hungry. Rushing through the mountains. Brother, can we not go? Xiaomei's eyes turned red. Driving mountains is a very dangerous thing. If you encounter wolves, insects, tigers, and leopards in the mountains, you might not be able to get out. Brother, I don't want to eat braised pork belly anymore. I just want to eat steamed buns. I don't want to lose you anymore. I have only one family member, you. Siheyuan pounced into Qingshan's arms. Tears couldn't stop flowing. Little fool, how could brother leave you alone? Don't worry, I assure you that I will definitely come back alive. I won't go to dangerous places, and if I encounter danger, I'll just run away. Is that okay? Qingshan hugged his sister who depended on each other. Comfort her. For a long time. Siheyuan's emotions gradually calmed down. Brother, I know you're going to rush the mountain, but I can't stop you. Promise me to come back safely and never leave me alone. Siheyuan was in tears. Qingshan nodded solemnly, he must come back safely. He had an accident, and in the courtyard full of beasts, Siheyuan would never survive. Take care of yourself at home. No matter who deceives you into opening the door, don't open it. If something happens, let them come back when I come back. Qingshan reminded his sister. Animals have no bottom line in their actions, who knows if they will do crazy things. Eat and drink enough. Qingshan began preparing to drive the mountain. I am just a mountain driver from the Su family. I have complete equipment, but I haven't used it for a long time. Qingshan took out everything and cleaned and maintained it one by one. Qingshan, why did you take out all the things your father used to drive the mountain? Dumao approached and looked at Qingshan's work with confusion. I'm going to rush the mountains. Qingshan announced. Are you driving the mountain? Are you not joking? Dumao looked up and down at Qingshan, as if he had never known him before. My brother is going to rush the mountains. Siheyuan helped Qingshan organize his equipment. Every piece is very careful and careful. Just rely on you. There are wolves, insects, tigers, and leopards on the mountain. I don't think you're going to drive the mountain, you're going to deliver food to wolves, insects, tigers, and leopards. Silly Zhu leaned over, a burst of sarcasm and sarcasm. Qingshan beat him up and even used a gun to force Hidaqing to apologize. When Hidaqing returned home, he felt very angry. The more he thought about it, the more angry he became, and he gave Silly Zhu a lesson. After being taught a lesson by Hidaqing, Silly Zhu couldn't fight back. It was called unfilial behavior, so he hated Qingshan and wanted to find an opportunity to beat him up. Of course. He didn't plan to take direct action. He knows he can't beat Qingshan and plans to launch a surprise attack or use a burlap bag. Get lost. Qingshan gave Silly Zhu a cold glare. You. Silly Zhu shuddered and dared not speak again. Qingshan's eyes are too cold. Too sharp. Soon. The people in the courtyard have all received news that Qingshan is going to rush the mountain. No one is optimistic about Qingshan. There are many people driving the mountains. Most people gather mushrooms, coconuts, or hunt wild chickens, rabbits, and the like on the outskirts. Few dare to go deep into the mountains. Every year, there are some people who are too greedy and want to hunt large prey, going deep into the mountains and never returning. Qingshan sighed after maintaining his hunting rifle. There are too few bullets. A shotgun without bullets is just a stick, or a stick that is not straight enough. It's more practical to just carry a wooden stick up the mountain. With just a few bullets, do you also want to go hunting in the mountains? Silly Zhu has found another place to mock Qingshan. Even if there's only one bullet left, I can still kill you. Do you believe it? Qingshan looked coldly at Silly Zhu. Silly Pillar Infinite, you quickly show him, break him. Damao stirred up the wind and ignited the fire. Sun Tzu, I'll beat you to death. Silly Zhu is looking for a vent. Can't we defeat Qingshan or Damao? Damao is his imperial vent. Damao turned around and ran. Silly Zhu followed suit. The neighbors in the courtyard are not surprised. Silly Zhu won't hit Damao for 2 days, and he will definitely arrive early on the 3rd day, unless one of the two is not at home. Qingshan found a bough. I was bitten off by a mouse. The bough that Su's father used was not used for a long time as it was not used to drive mountains. Unexpectedly, it was ruined by mice. Make a new bough. Qingshan asked Siheyuan to enter the house and close the door. He hurriedly left the courtyard and returned in less than half an hour, holding a carefully selected bamboo and making a bow on site. He just started making bows. Damao is here again, with a blue nose and swollen face. He was scolded by the silly pillar. Silly Zhu also leaned in again. After beating Damao for a while, Silly Zhu felt refreshed and exhaled all the necessary energy. Qingshan, do you want to make your own bow? Can you make a bow? Can the bow you made really work? Silly Zhu received another round of sarcasm and ridicule. Pop. Qingshan waved his hand. A pillar with full elasticity, drawn on the mouth of the silly pillar. Your mouth is too smelly, too smoky. Either get out or shut up. Qingshan didn't even lift his head, he continued to make a bow. Ha ha ha. Damao laughed wildly. On Silly Zhu's left face, there was a red mark drawn from bamboo, extending from his left face to the corner of his mouth, and his lips were bleeding from the blow. Silly Zhu's face turned pale with iron. Humph. With a cold snort, he turned around and left. Soon. Qingshan will make a simple bow. Seemingly simple. Actually, it's not simple at all. To make a lethal bow, strict standards must be followed for the selection of bamboo materials, the size and curvature of the bow, and so on. Qingshan tried to pull the bow. Full of elasticity. Very stable. Nod slightly. Not bad, little sister, I'm going to rush to the mountains. Take care of yourself, no matter which beast comes, don't pay attention to them. If there's anything, let them wait for me to come back and look for them. Before Qingshan sets off, remind Siheyuan once again. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 08. Entering the mountain, encountering a hunting team, snatching for game. You are listening at life.Feilu. When Qingshan was ready to bid farewell to his sister and about to depart, Yi Zhonghai arrived late with Lu Haizhong in Yanfugui. Qingshan, do you really want to rush to the mountain? Yi Zhonghai looked at Qingshan with all his equipment. Most of them were left by Su's father. Of course. Our Su family has been passing down the mountain driving skill for generations, and our Su family ancestors can make a living with it. Why can't I? Qingshan's tone was calm, confident, and not worried at all. In memory. Inherited the mountain driving skills of the Su family. With system assistance, he is the king of mountain driving. When it comes to driving mountains alone, who can be stronger than him? Gaga. Strange laughter came through. Everyone turned their heads and saw that it was Jia Zhang. What are you looking at me for? Jia Zhang was too happy and couldn't help laughing for a moment. She believes that once Qingshan enters the mountain, he is doomed to die. Once Qingshan dies, only the little girl Siheyuan remains, and is he still left to be slaughtered by them? Dongshu, we need to book the house of Qingshan's family. There are wolves, insects, tigers, and leopards in the mountains. With his small physique, if he encounters them, he will undoubtedly die. Jia Zhang and Jia Dongshu were whispering to each other. She is absolutely right. In the 1950s, the mountains and forests had not yet been extensively destroyed and maintained their primitive appearance. Fierce beasts such as tigers and black bears were not uncommon. Even experienced hunters will not easily enter the mountains. Why? It's just because it's too dangerous. Every hunting trip into the mountains is a journey of life and death. Even if you come back alive, you cannot guarantee that you will catch the prey. Many times, you can only go home empty-handed. I understand now, Qingshan, you're not trying to end up with something dead or alive, are you? A pat on the thigh in the bangs. Unfortunately, my cultural level is limited and I can't even understand a word. Put it to death and be reborn. Yanfugui reminded helplessly. Yes, it means putting oneself to death and being reborn. A few days ago, your family couldn't even afford to eat. I guess yesterday, you must have sold all the last things that could be sold at home. Eat a good meal, prepare to compete, drive the mountain once, and if there is harvest, you can enjoy delicious food and spicy food. If there is no harvest, there will be no future. Lu Haizhong speculates. Everyone's eyes lit up and they all nodded. Qingshan's appearance really seems to be about to go crazy for the last time. Qingshan, you don't need to drive the mountain. Your house is quite valuable. Selling it will be enough for your siblings to live for a while. Yanfugui's eyes rolled and he kindly persuaded. Humph. Qingshan snorted coldly. Do you really think he doesn't know? The beasts have long been thinking about the Su family's house. Brother. Siheyuan was very worried, with red circles around her eyes and tears swirling in her eyes. Little sister, you don't have to worry about brother. They are all talking nonsense, you don't have to listen to them. I promise you, I will definitely come back completely. After I leave, remember what I instructed you to do. Qingshan gave a cold glance at the animals. Holding a bow in the right hand and an arrow in the left hand, the beasts looked surprised and shot an arrow, hitting the opposite brick wall, and the arrow went straight in. The animals took a deep breath of cold air. What was shot by an arrow was a brick wall, not wood, how could it be shot in? When I enter the mountain, who dares to bully my sister? When I come back, I will go out and see if his body is hard or if the brick wall is hard. Before Qingshan left, he gave a warning to the animals. You can tell from their trembling expressions that the warning from this arrow scared them and they would never dare to easily bully Siheyuan. Qingshan left the courtyard. Siheyuan, go home, close the door and insert it inside. Silly Pillar walked over, wanting to pull out the arrow that shot into the brick wall. Apply force. Not pulled out. Silly Zhu, didn't you call yourself a Hercules? Why can't you even draw an arrow? Su Damao made sarcastic remarks. Humph. Silly Zhu exerted another force. It still hasn't been posted. I had no choice but to grab the shaft of the arrow, shake it, relax, and then pull it out. I found that the depth of the shot was over an inch deep. Silly Zhu broke out in a cold sweat. If this hits the body, why not shoot a cross-dressing? Su Damao's face also turned white. Seeing the beasts pulling arrows with silly pillars, their faces didn't look good. Qingshan arrived at the foot of the mountain, and before entering, he once again sorted out his equipment. The most obvious equipment was a bow and a hunting gun. Make sure the equipment is fine. Qingshan officially enters the mountain. Less than half an hour into the mountain, I heard someone speaking ahead. Grandpa Gua, didn't you say it's very dangerous in the mountains? It's been so long since we've been in the mountains, not to mention tigers and black bears, we haven't even seen a rabbit. Are we going to the wrong place? A young man's voice complained. Shut up. Just entered the mountain, why are you in a hurry? It's really deep in the mountains. It's really fierce when encountering tigers. Do you think you can still be so relaxed? A hoarse male voice answered, sounding a certain age. Qingshan encountered a hunting team. The two sides met soon. The hunting team consists of 5 people, led by a man with slightly white hair on his temples, who appears to be in his 50s. The remaining 4 people, 2 in their 30s and 2 in their 20s. 5 people are all carrying shotguns. They were also looking at Qingshan and saw him carrying a bow behind his back, showing a puzzled expression. Who still uses bows and arrows these days? Shotgun. In terms of precision, lethality, convenience, and more, it comprehensively crushes the bow and arrow. People who have the means to use guns will not use bows anymore. Little brother, are you going hunting alone in the mountains? The man leading the team, Mr. Gua, frowned slightly. Qingshan nodded. Carrying a shotgun is enough, why do you still have a bow? A young man couldn't help but point to the bow behind Qingshan. Guns have the advantages of guns, bows have the advantages of arrows. Qingshan smiled. The biggest advantage of a bow and arrow is that it is silent and produces no sound when fired, unlike a hunting rifle, which makes a loud noise. Gunfire, in the mountains and forests, can easily lead to danger. Of course. The use of bows and arrows is much more difficult than guns and requires long-term practice. A gun only requires short-term training. Two Heizi, why do you talk too much? Grandpa Gua teaches young people a lesson. Little brother, it's very dangerous in the deep mountains. You're only one person, no one takes care of each other. Don't go deep, just hunt rabbits and wild chickens on the periphery. Grandpa Gua seems to be a very enthusiastic person. Remind Qingshan to pay attention to safety. Thank you, I know. Of course, Qingshan will enter the deep mountains. Outside, where are there any good prey? Sha sha. Not far from the grass on the left, there came a gentle strange noise. Qingshan turned his head, his eyes fixed on the place where the strange noise came from. Grandpa Gua was slightly slower than Qingshan, and he looked at Qingshan in surprise. Good listening. What a fast reaction ability. Do you have prey? After realizing it later, Two Heizi also discovered prey and excitedly removed the hunting gun from his back. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 09 Two Heizi. Qingshan is handsome, with arrows. You are listening at novel.Feilu. Heizi held a hunting rifle and aimed in the direction of the sound. In the mountains, the gentle breeze blows, and there are various sounds at all times, including the shaking of leaves and the friction of weeds, which can cause a lot of disturbance. Heizi was unable to accurately locate his prey with his voice, and his prey was still hiding in the grass without appearing. He could only hold a gun and wait for the prey. The second child looked at Qingshan. Pointing to the long bow in Qingshan's hand, then pointing to the hunting gun in his own hand, shaking his head, silently revealing a hint of contemptuous sneer. The meaning he wants to express is very clear. The era of bows has long passed. The long bow in Qingshan's hand is just the most ordinary and rudimentary one, and it cannot compete with the hunting gun in his hand, let alone take away his prey. Qingshan gave a slight smile. Pull the bow. Shoot an arrow. Qingshan's arrow instantly disappeared, and the grass also quieted down, leaving only the sound of a gentle breeze blowing through the grass and the rustling of leaves. Throughout, no one saw the prey in the grass. Listen to the sound and distinguish the position. Grandpa Guo glanced at Qingshan in surprise. Qingshan nodded slightly. When hunting, the most intuitive and accurate way is to look with the eyes. The problem is that the eyes have limitations. Only positive things can be seen, only a small area directly in front can be seen clearly. What if the prey grows out of sight? What if you come from behind? Easy, use your ears. There is an old saying that goes, listen to all directions. Ear hearing has no blind spots, it just requires a certain amount of talent and long-term training. Grandpa Guo thumbs up. As an old hunter, he hasn't even developed the ability to distinguish between sounds and positions. He can only lock the approximate direction of the prey through sound, and then calibrate it with his eyes before firing, otherwise even if he shoots, he will be blind. Take a chance. What sounds and positions are distinguished? I think he's just fooling around. When he shot this arrow, the prey was already scared away. I bet he didn't hit anything. Heizi has come to his senses, he is not convinced. They are still aiming and haven't seen their prey yet. How could Qingshan shoot with one arrow? Heizi, please shut up for me. Along the way, you'll have a lot to do. If you keep doing this, don't come out with me next time. I dare not take you with me anymore. Grandpa Guo's face turned black at that time. Isn't Heizi causing trouble? As the old saying goes, misfortune comes from the mouth. People who cannot control their mouths often unintentionally offend others and will definitely suffer a big loss in their mouths. Qingshan frowned slightly. He found that Heizi had been hostile towards him since the meeting. He was very certain that he had never seen Heizi before, let alone offended him. Why was there such a deep hostility towards him when we first met? Little brother, I'm really sorry. Heizi went on a blind date yesterday, and he took a liking to the girl. The girl didn't take a liking to him, and he was in a bad mood. He doesn't usually behave like this. Grandpa Guo helped Heizi explain. Was it dumped? Qingshan saw Heizi's awkward expression, and what Grandpa Guo said should be true. I was dumped and I'm not in a good mood. Humph, they're all damn little white faces. Heizi muttered to himself. The voice was very low, but everyone present could hear it clearly. Everyone felt embarrassed. Qingshan also reacted. Heizi showed hostility towards him as soon as they met. It wasn't that he had offended Heizi before, but rather that he was handsome and matched the appearance of a little white face. Heizi looks black and ugly. The girl who went on a blind date with him must have found him ugly. Heizi is ugly, and the girl doesn't like him, so she is hostile towards him. Seeing Qingshan being too handsome, she hates him from the bottom of her heart. What are you watching me do? Heizi regretted it. He just muttered subconsciously, but didn't expect to be heard by everyone. Isn't this self-proclaimed ugliness? Alright, Heizi, you don't have to worry. Go back, I'll find someone who doesn't mind you being ugly. Widow Zhang looks very good, just with 2 children. As long as you can help her raise 2 children, she will definitely not find you ugly. Widow Li is even more beautiful. She has been engaged 3 times, and every time she's just engaged, the groom will die in an accident. She's 27 years old and hasn't married yet. She definitely won't dislike you. Heizi's companions teased him. I don't want Widow Li. She's beautiful, but he's killing 3 grooms. Do you want me to die? Heizi's face turned red with anger. That's Widow Zhang. She's also pretty, just 2 children. Someone repaired the wound. I don't want a widow. I'm still a young man of all ages, and I haven't gotten married yet. Heizi gritted his teeth and gritted his teeth. What yellow flower boys and girls. You can't see your own face, just look at your own arms. Is it black or not? You look so black, even if you're a flower, you're still a big black flower. Everyone continued to joke and laughed happily. Many people's happiness is built on the pain of others. They laughed. Heizi is in a hurry, his veins are jumping up. Alright, stop talking. Heizi, go help the little brother pick up the prey. Grandpa Gua stopped everyone's teasing. If this continues, Heizi will become angry and ashamed. Finding a job for Heizi can also be considered as an apology to Qingshan. After all, he was the one who provoked him first, so there must be some expression. Heizi, with a gloomy face, went ahead to look for prey. Separate the grass. Ah! Heizi let out a scream of surprise. What happened? Grandpa Gua picked up his hunting rifle. No, it's okay. Heizi is a bit stuttering. He returned to the crowd, holding a rabbit in his hand. Did you really hit it? Except for Grandpa Gua, everyone could hardly believe it. It wasn't just Heizi who questioned Qingshan's strength, but others didn't speak up. They looked at Qingshan. Take a look at the rabbit in Heizi's hand again. Just now, they were still aiming, and before they could see the prey, Qingshan shot an arrow. Everyone was so frightened that they broke out in cold sweat. What archery is this? Is it archery that humans can use? Amazing. That's amazing. Just by listening, you don't have to look, you can hit an arrow with precision. It's broken. If he walks with us, who can snatch him? No, we can't team up with him. Fortunately, the second child had a falling out with him. It was so good. It would have been even better if it had escalated further. They went their separate ways and ignored each other. Including Grandpa Gua, everyone is a bit uneasy. Ding, the system has detected that the host is hunting a wild rabbit, and the system is calculating rewards. In the personal space where rewards are distributed, reward. 10 yuan in cash, 10 pounds of apples. The materials rewarded by the system have legal sources, please use them with confidence. The system reminds the host that the richer the harvest from rushing to the mountains, the richer the rewards will be. Please continue to work hard and obtain richer rewards. The first time Qingshan saw a rabbit, the system reward came with it. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 10. One arrow sealing the throat, everyone's legs soft in fear. You are listening at life.Audio. Qingshan was very surprised, followed by a burst of surprise. The mountain driving system is too invincible, and every time he gains from mountain driving, there are additional rewards. 10 yuan. 10 pounds of apples. The reward is not very generous. The system explains very clearly that the richness of the reward is directly proportional to the rewards he receives from driving the mountain. The greater the harvest, the heavier the reward. A rabbit is rewarded with 10 yuan and 10 pounds of apples. Where is a wild boar? Where is a big tiger? Qingshan looked forward to it even more. He needs to enter the deep mountains as soon as possible and capture large prey as soon as possible. Big brother, here you are. A cold sweat broke out from Heizi's head, and he couldn't speak fluently. He handed the rabbit he had just picked up, along with the arrow, to Qingshan. Qingshan took the rabbit. One arrow sealing the throat. The arrow he shot was very precise, piercing through the rabbit's throat and breaking its spine. No wonder there was no movement when he shot it. Isn't this archery too powerful? What does it mean to be powerful? It's called a miracle. He didn't aim at anything just now and just pulled his bow to shoot. He can still be so precise, it's difficult to achieve with a gun. If anyone were his enemy, they would be unlucky. If they hadn't discovered him yet, they would be choked with an arrow. Yes, just like that rabbit. The three companions of Heizi were stunned for a moment, and then began to feel envious of Qingshan's superb archery skills. With this arrow technique, you really don't need a gun. When they sighed, Heizi was almost crying. He just failed the blind date and disliked the little white face. Seeing Qingshan's handsome appearance, he got a little angry. Who would have thought Qingshan was so powerful? What if you don't like him and give him an arrow? He doesn't want to die yet. He is still a playboy. Even if you can't marry a beautiful girl, isn't there still Widow Zhang and Widow Li? Brother, big brother, I was wrong. I shouldn't have targeted you. If you don't remember being a villain, please forgive me once. Heizi gritted his teeth. We must apologize proactively and ask Qingshan to forgive him. He dare not gamble, will Qingshan retaliate against him from behind? If you retaliate against him, with an arrow from a distance, he will say goodbye to this life. Apologized. Grandpa Guo was taken aback. The other three people were also very surprised. Next up. All four of them have reacted. Heizi was frightened by Qingshan's sword technique of sealing his throat with one arrow. Don't talk about Heizi. Seeing Qingshan's archery, they were also filled with fear. Such a magical archery, not to mention having seen it before, had never been heard of before. Okay. Be careful in the future, I won't argue with you this time. Qingshan nodded. Who? Heizi took a deep breath. I almost died. Fortunately, Qingshan did not haggle with him. Your archery skills are amazing. If I had your archery skills, no, even if it's only half your level, I would be satisfied. I would definitely be able to return with a full load every time. Heizi sighed. As long as you have the ability, even if you look ugly, it doesn't matter. Still marry a beautiful yellow flower girl. Don't dream anymore. Grandpa Guo poured a basin of cold water. Archery requires talent and long-term hard work to reach the pinnacle of young brother's excellence. Which of you has it? Perhaps there is effort, do you have talent? Grandpa Guo dispelled their unrealistic fantasies. Little brother, I underestimated you. With your magical archery skills, as long as you are careful, you can go deep into the mountains and not be afraid of tigers or black bears. Grandpa Guo gave Qingshan another thumbs up. In every industry, there is a small group of people standing at the top of the pyramid with extraordinary abilities that cannot be inferred from common sense. Qingshan is the ceiling of the mountain driving industry. It is dangerous for others to enter deep mountains. He entered the deep mountains and forests to purchase goods. Anything he encounters, whether it's a tiger or a black bear, will only become his trophy. I'm flattered. Qingshan gave a faint smile. Little brother, we won't delay your hunting. After finishing speaking to my grandfather, he left with his people. He doesn't want to hunt with Qingshan. Qingshan's archery is too precise and his reaction is too fast. Hunting with Qingshan, there's nothing for them anymore. As long as Qingshan doesn't release water, there won't be a chance for them to take action. All the prey belongs to Qingshan. Isn't it a waste of time for them to come to the mountain? Qingshan turns left. They turn to the right. After walking a distance, Grandpa Gua turned around and stared at Heizi. Little rabbit, do you know you're wrong? Do you know how dangerous it was just now? Grandpa Gua is a bit impatient and frustrated. Fortunately, Qingshan didn't argue with us. Otherwise, with his reaction speed and archery skills, we would only have a team destruction outcome. After Grandpa Gua finished speaking, a layer of cold sweat broke out on his head again. When he saw the rabbit with an arrow blocking its throat, his legs softened on the spot and he almost turned around and ran. Later on, I realized it. With Qingshan's reaction ability and archery skills, he can't run away at all. No matter how far he runs, he can't escape an arrow that seals his throat. Grandpa Gua, it was my mistake, I dare not do it again. Heizi was also quite frightened. I hope you've learned a lesson. Next time, if you dare to offend anyone recklessly, I will shoot you dead, so as not to implicate myself. Grandpa Gua nodded. At this point, Qingshan discerned the direction and headed towards the deep mountains. As soon as he reached out, a big red apple appeared in his hand and he took a bite with a click. It's so crispy and sweet. The big apple rewarded by the system is definitely a green and pollution-free food. Qingshan is very satisfied. The newly hunted rabbit was also thrown into his personal space. Items thrown into personal space are pressed with the time pause button. Even if they are thrown in for 10,000 years, taking them out will still be the same as if they were just put in. Not yet loaded. Ow. In the deep mountains, a tiger can be heard. The team led by Grandpa Gua. Grandpa Gua stopped with a very serious expression, while Heizi and others had a slightly pale face. Grandpa Gua, what should we do if we have a tiger? Heizi asked. What do you say to do? Of course it's a detour. With just the 5 of us, even if we have guns in our hands, we can't fight a tiger. If we encounter them, none of us can survive. Grandpa Gua led the team to turn around and walk away from the direction of the tiger's roar, at a fast speed, afraid that the tiger would catch up and destroy them. Qingshan, who had not walked far, also heard the roar of a tiger. Is there a tiger? Great, tigers are all treasures. Tiger skin has magical warming effects and can be used to make a tiger skin mat for young girls. Tiger bones can be used to make tiger bone wine. Tiger whip, probably no man doesn't like it, right? Listen to the tiger's roar, the distance is far, I hope to meet you. Qingshan adjusted his direction. Grandpa Gua and others left far away from the tiger. Qingshan was alone, but he headed straight towards the direction of tiger roar. He wanted to find the tiger and fight against it. A tiger could sell for a lot of money. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th.